Chapter 252, Who Else is Coming? 2. In comparison, the injury on Zutui's leg was not that serious. At the critical moment, Zutui instantly raised several mental shields. However, there was only one mental shield protecting his lower body. It was directly shattered by the self-destruction of the water puppet, which was why he was injured. He had 2 layers of mental shields on his head and 2 layers of mental shields, with the addition of an energy force field on his. So he was not injured at all. Wen Xiao remained silent. For him, silence was gold. Zutui roared again when he saw this. Did you see that, first-year supernatural students? You bunch of cowards. Even your seniors are standing up for you. You guys are still so cowardly. I despise you. I really don't know how Mr. Wen Xiao taught you. He actually taught you until you didn't even have any guts. As soon as Zutui said that, the 20-odd seated candidates from the first-year supernatural branch trembled. Their faces turned pale. This time, 2 students charged toward the main stage of the Longhu list without a word. They no longer cared about Wen Xiao's threat. Go to hell with calming down. They wanted to fight. They had to fight. If they did not fight now, their backbone would be broken by Zutui. Zutui, don't be too arrogant. I'm also a supernatural type. I'm also on the Longhu overall rankings. Do you dare to accept my challenge? Seeing that Wen Xiao could no longer suppress the first-year students from the supernatural branch, another senior from the supernatural branch suddenly jumped onto the stage and challenged Zutun in public. Who are you? Zutui looked over. Wei Zuan, ranked 88th on the Longhu overall rankings. I'm a third-year student from the mystery branch. Wei Zuan reported his name. 30 seconds ago, Wei Zuan's gaze had just moved away from his personal communication device. He received a text message. It was a message from Zheng Shahong. The 2 seated students who had ignored Wen Xiao's attitude earlier could only stop when they saw that someone was about to fight Zutui. Alright, go and register with the teacher. The battle will begin in 5 minutes. Good, you have guts. Wait, Wuxia gave Zutui a thumbs up and signed up. In just a few minutes, Qi Sheng had already been carried away by the emergency personnel of the medical center. The bloodstains on the main stage of the Longhu list had yet to be cleaned. Ku Qingshan, who had just come out, frowned and said, Zutui, you've already defended your ranking on the Longhu overall rankings once. It's set. According to the rules, even if someone challenges you, you can accept the challenge 3 days later. Zutui understood that Ku Qingshan had good intentions. Of course, there was also an apology. He had been distracted by Qi Sheng's cries for help in the battle just now, so he had neglected Zutui's protection. Professor Ku, thank you, but I still want to fight. I want to see what Mr. Wen Xiao can do. I wanted to see how long the first-year seeded players of Supernatural Branch would be afraid. If they could really stall for time until the last moment of the ranking battle, then I would accept it. I submit Tatham. At this moment, Zutui's goal was clear. Ku Qingshan knew that it was useless to persuade him. He turned around and glanced at Wen Xiao, who was on the stage. Wen Xiao pursed his lips and remained silent. Ku Qingshan understood that the fight between Zutun and the supernatural branch had reached a boiling point. At this moment, unless one of them fell or took the initiative to withdraw, no one could persuade them otherwise. Be careful, as a referee on duty, I'm not omnipotent. As he spoke, Ku Qingshan took a step forward and stepped into the air. He once again stood on the referee's seat. 3 minutes later, Wei Zuan, the Earth Element superb individual ranked 88th on the Longhu overall rankings, stood at the standard combat position. 2 minutes later, the projection screen appeared. The 5-second countdown ended. The battle had begun. The moment the battle began, Zutui became highly focused and entered the time distortion. In a short 0.2 millisecond, he threw out his mental chain. With a sharp whistle, his flying sword immediately turned into a silver light and flew 100 meters away. At the same time, his strengthened version of the mental whip whipped Wei Zuan's head. Wei Zuan, who had been cultivating his mind power for 3 years, had very strong mind power. His mind power was definitely stronger than Zutui's. Under his deliberate defense, even Zhu Tui's strengthened version of the mental whip could not cause any effective damage to Wei Zuan. However, this strengthened version of the mental whip had directly taken away 5% of Zhu Tui's mind power. It had still affected Wei Zuan for a moment. Wei Zuan's mind power trembled for a moment. Time was short, the delay might only last a few milliseconds. However, it was enough for Zhu Tui. This was because Wei Zuan's first move was to condense an earth shield to defend himself. The moment Wei Zuan condensed 3 earth shields that were flickering with yellow light. Zhu Tui's flying sword had already completed its strategic acceleration from the air above the audience seats 100 meters away. It directly transformed into a silver light. The moment the sonic boom sounded above the audience, the silver light had already arrived in front of Wei Zuan. Wei Zuan was hooked. FCAC, Qingshan, who was on duty, cursed again. Today's arena duty was F-King difficult. He was soldiered. In an instant, Qingshan raised Wei Zuan by another foot. Qingshan, who was already prepared, even used his mind power to set up layers of mental shields around the vital points of Wei Zuan's head and neck. It was unobstructed.